Hey, it's Simple from Navi, and you're listening TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 104 coming to you live, pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, May 9th, 2018. The time, 7:16 p.m. Central Standard Time. Did I say coming live? We're live, pre-recorded. Whatever I normally say there. And or pre-recorded, depending on your listening preference.
You would know that if you followed us on Twitter.
Follow us on that Twitter at the Center Ring. And yes, Anuj is correct. Hello, Anuj. How are you?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing today?
Good, good. We have Brett back on the show. Brett's wife allowed him to have fun again.
We just go back to my previous comment to you this afternoon, Tim. No, but man, this is gonna be a fun 3 weeks, or upcoming 3 weeks for us.
Yes.
It's gonna be awesome. ESL, DreamHack.
Busy. This is our busy time of the year, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Episode 104, though, coming to you live, pre-recorded, and if I dare say so, it is the best episode ever. Why, you might
Do we
ask?
have to change that up? Like, do we have to say pre-recorded and live now or something, or what?
If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there, does it make a noise?
I'm getting on our Twitch right now.
If no one's watching, are we live? I don't know. That's life's questions that I'll leave it to you to answer. Follow us, though, on Twitch. If you go to our website, tcr.gg, you'll have all of the information there. Discord, Twitch, Twitter at the Center Ring, all that fun stuff. So you'll know when we are live, when we record, when we post new episodes, all that. Okay? But as I said, this is going to be a good episode. We have e-news like normal. We have actually some Call of Duty to talk about. Rostermania. I feel like this is like the third time this year Rostermania is happening in Call of Duty. But this time it seems like it's for real. So Anuj will fill us in there, since he is our Call of Duty leader. But to start the show, we kind of been talking about it in the last couple episodes, but we do want to do our full-on ESL Dallas preview. All right, as Brett mentioned in the intro, this is kind of getting into our personal busy time of the year. In a couple weeks, you have ESL Dallas. Then you have DreamHack Austin, which we will be at both. So if you're going to either one, let us know. We'll go say hello. What else is going on for us? QuakeCon. QuakeCon is coming up.
Far away.
So this is kind of like in the DFW, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. If you're in the area, a lot happening. Okay, there's a lot of esports that's happening right now. So if you live in Dallas or Fort Worth, it's a good time.
And you can go venture frustration at the Dallas Fuel Players.
Yes, they're doing a meet and greet tomorrow. So maybe I'll be out there. We'll see. We shall see. But let's get into some ESL Dallas here, okay? So this is ESL Pro League Season 7 Finals. They're bringing it back to Dallas. It was here last May. So it is in a couple weeks. It is May 15th through May 20th. Group stages start, I think, let me look, the 15th, I guess. So what's that, Tuesday?
15th through the
Tuesday.
20th?
So
Yeah.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anuj, if this is correct. Do you guys remember last year, was it in the Verizon Theater for just Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
It was at the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they're doing 3 days at Verizon Theater now.
Ooh, cool.
I could be wrong. I've read the press release. I think it's...
That's what I got out of it, too, because it doesn't look like they are having press at the...
Yeah, because group stage is May 14th through the 16th, and then you have playoff stage May 18th through the 20th, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
Kind of makes me sad just from a follower, like a covering standpoint, because you had so much access at the hotel. So
yeah,
I don't know.
but I think they're still doing the same amount of
Who's
time. I just think they're spacing it out a little more.
and yeah, Anuj isn't gonna have his buddy to talk to as much.
Not
Oh,
gonna be
Simple.
able to, not gonna be able to hunt down Simple, man. I'll still find him.
I'll find you.
I'll
So
find you and I'll give you a parliament.
Simple will be there. So before we get into the teams that are there, I do want to talk a little bit, as we always do in preview fashion, is talk about how we got here, because I think the teams that didn't make it are just as important as the teams that did qualify for the playoffs. Since it seems like Counter-Strike, they don't do the leagues like Overwatch League or League of Legends or Rocket League or really like any other esports is getting into. They're still kind of stuck in their ways where there's like 500 different seasons and leagues going all on at the same time, and teams have to bow out of one, like Complexity having to forfeit all of their remaining ECS games, I believe, for some qualifier or something like that. It's ridiculous, but that's not what we're talking about. But ESL always seems to generate this buzz when you're finally getting into the playoffs, where people are either loving it because you have teams that you normally don't see, or they hate it because they, quote unquote, better teams don't make it for whatever reason, right? Whether it's because they don't care about online matches or the Pro League or what have you. Some of the bigger teams that on EU side that aren't there, Fnatic, they went 10-14 in the season, getting 11th place just out of the relegation zone. And they're what? 5th best in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who's their first?
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
who's first? I mean, Mouse Sports is first. I don't know. However you guys want to do it. If you want to go down the list, we can. I don't really care.
maybe go through like bracket by bracket, as we can kind of discuss maybe some of the early matchups, or at least maybe how the teams are doing headed in, because that's I feel like the biggest story is you have some teams that are on the struggle bus heading into this tournament, right?
I mean,
And then
yeah, but you don't think Fnatic being 5th best in the world, I mean, not making it. Now, this is not the same Fnatic that I think started the season, right?
yeah, this kind of happened last year too, though, right? Like what we felt like we were missing so many teams last year that I don't think Astralis was there last year, right? Didn't they not make Pro League?
Right.
And so it kind of happens every year where there's some awesome team that you feel like is super deserving of being there, but they don't pull their weight, in the regular season. And part of it is that saturation of number of tournaments and how much importance you put on those matches. But
Maybe.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking that just maybe the bigger teams they're more concerned about like tournament prize money rather than grinding out an online season. Like they don't really put much emphasis into it.
Seems a little
I
underwhelming
wonder
for
from a monetary,
750K, right?
yeah,
to
from
play
a
whole
monetary
season-
standpoint, it really doesn't make sense for them to, I guess, put effort into it, which is sad. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's where you get, kind of the underdog teams. I know Hellraisers. So here's the thing. All right, let's get more into the teams that are there. So on EU side, these are the teams that qualified, and then I'll get into why I stress the word qualified. You have Hellraisers, Astralis, Space Soldiers, FaZe, Navi, NiP, and Mouse Sports. Mouse Sports getting first, right? So Hellraisers is not able to make it, so they're because of visa issues. So now Heroic is going to take their spot on the 7th seed for EU side. I do like the aspect though, like for the same reason that people don't like it, right? Top teams don't qualify for whatever reason, but now you do have teams like Hellraisers or now Heroic getting a chance to play in teams that you normally don't see anymore, or as nearly as much as I feel like you used to, right? Unless it's like not to diminish DreamHack Austin, but unless it's like a DreamHack Austin, you're probably not going to see Hellraisers or Heroic nearly as much. They're not as flashy for invites.
They're not, but like for some of those, like you said, for those Austin type tournaments and those mid-tier ones that are, 200,000 type payouts, that's where you kind of tend to see them get the instant invite to after everybody else has declined. But yeah, for Hellraisers not to be able to go to this because of visa issues is so sad for them. Like this is such a big moment for that organization. those players, and it seems like it's happening every tournament. Like I don't understand enough about that side to tell you why they're not getting their visas accepted. But I mean, I feel like esports is big enough to where this crap has to be fixed at some point, whether it's from a government standpoint or whatever. These guys are missing out on huge opportunities and kind of breakthrough moments for them to not have to attend. So it's awesome for Heroic, obviously, and Heroic's been playing well, and they were right there on the verge of qualifying. So good for them. But yeah, I can't imagine how Hellraisers feels right now.
Yeah, because they're missing a chance to just expand their brand.
Be on the big
into
stage,
anything.
right?
Yep.
Like just being on the big stage means something for them. They get through all these qualifiers, and we watch them in all these qualifiers, but generally they're not making it to these main events. And so, to not go to this one, and this is an international one, I mean, I'm sure that's a huge bummer. And it's weird that they're having visa issues with it coming to the US. I kind of understand it for some other countries where it is a little bit tougher. But this is probably Brett's boy Trump coming to play, man.
Yeah, man. He's my homeboy. Not really. If you've listened to previous episodes, I don't think any of us really are on that bandwagon.
You know who I am pumped about this year we didn't get to see last time is Nip. We missed out on them last year. They weren't there. They didn't qualify. But for them to be going this year, I know I'm excited to try and fit into my jersey again underneath my shirt.
Man, I've been working out. Like I'm it's still gonna be tight.
You gotta wear it.
There's no way you've worked out that much. No way.
Maybe I'll bring it, Tim.
I mean, you can bring it. I encourage you.
Just wear it as underwear.
I encourage you to bring it.
All
Wear it
right,
out on
thank
6th Street. Before we get too far into the actual brackets, I do want to touch on the NA side of ESL, because there are some actually storylines, I think, more on the lower end of that. So the teams that qualified. Now, NA, they only got 6, right? They only got 6 teams compared to EU7. Again, that was kind of a talking point last year on why NA is getting equal teams, all that. So you have SK getting 6th, Renegades 5th, Cloud9 4th, Optic Gaming, which is now going to be on EU side starting next season, I believe, got 3rd, NRG, which honestly, ECS, ESL, they've had a fantastic year.
They've already qualified for ECS's tournament, so they're the
Yeah.
one of 2 that have qualified for ECS.
They went on that historical run, winning what, like
15 or something.
something, yeah, something ridiculous there between the 2 of them, and then Team Liquid got 1st. Okay, so those are the teams that qualified for NA. But now on the bottom part, you have Dignitas, Splice, and Complexity that were all fighting for relegation right into the league. They didn't want to get kicked out.
Dignitas is automatically out, right? Being the last place team, I think you automatically get relegated.
Okay, yeah.
And then
so
10 and 11 play.
are the ones who fight for it.
Yeah, is there even going to be a game?
See, and I don't know.
Splice.
You can't. They have the schedule, but it's very confusing because you don't know if they're using your local time or EU or whatever. But Splice doesn't even have a team anymore or an organization. I would assume they would let the team compete, but not the organization, right? You're not gonna just.
But doesn't the org hold the spot at the players?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happens if the org leaves? I don't know the rules. I'm asking. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know either. Yeah.
Because then you have, like, that wouldn't really, that's also a weird situation because, like, Complexity, as I said before, they had to forfeit the rest of the season for ECS because, like, the scheduling conflicts with the relegation match for ESL. Like, there was no possible way to reschedule this match. They had to play this relegation match. They had to forfeit their others in another league, which
with the dead org.
How bad does that feel for like ECS? Is like you're forfeiting an entire season for a team is forfeiting the entire season to go play a relegation match that they may or may not win in an ECL league.
They're keeping their ECS spot, right? So you can't lose that ESL spot. You can't lose that Pro League spot, man.
I understand from Complexity's point of view. What I tweeted out though earlier in the week is that it is ridiculous that teams even have to be put in this position. Like if I were these organizations, I would get with these leagues I don't. You can't even. I don't even want to call them a league. Let's face it, they're not a league. There's zero organization going on with any of them. That
Complexity needs to get Jerry Jones in the mix here.
yeah,
To, like, do
they
some
have all that money
negotiations.
behind it to swing around, but they got to get with these tournament organizers and have a come to Jesus discussion with them and saying like, look, like what was it? Isn't this what the the WESA and all those other player organizations
PEA.
and yeah, like isn't that what all of these guys were supposed to be fighting against, right? Like I thought that was whole Sir Scoots' platform this entire time is I'm building a player union. I'm building a player union. All right, dude, like I get it, and hats off to you for working on it. But in the 2 years that it's taking you to do this, nothing is getting situated. Nothing is getting better.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, there's like, first of all, there's 5 different player leagues, right? Like that are all, I don't know, like you mentioned half of them, right? They're all just there at the moment. I don't really know what they do and how they're contributing. I mean, they say they are, but stuff like this is still happening, right? So it sucks. And I would think from an ESL standpoint that you would do whatever you could to have complexity be in your pro league, just because of the money that's now behind them. They're like a stable, a stable group. They're going to be there. They're not going anywhere. There are some other ones that have been in pro league in the past that have come and gone, and organizations are vanishing and whatnot. And now you're seeing it with Splice. So I don't know. It just seems
It's
weird that they're not
well,
really
yeah, I
going
mean,
out of their way. Even just you're talking about moving it a couple of days. What does it matter? The league is not even happening for a while.
Well, and it's like the relegation matches. You could really do this at any time between now and the league starting for season 8. I would assume.
Yeah, because the same teams are already coming in to replace them, right? This doesn't affect a team coming in to take that spot. Those teams already know who they are at this point. They're just waiting to see who's the one that's not going to be there. So, yeah, it's just weird that they're not able to move it. And you mentioned, taking away that extra spot now that's moving into ESL Pro League. Looks like they made the right decision to reduce it by 1, didn't they?
You're saying
Rogue.
well, I mean, let's be fair. All you're missing out here is either Rogue and Hellraisers, or Heroic, if you want to say, is taking their spot. I mean,
Yeah, but I would say still, going into 1 through 12 on EU would all be fine. Like good teams in the NA side.
yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, we didn't even bring up an Envious with Team Envious fighting for relegation.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. But
I think they
is
won their match
insane.
though, so I think they are. I think they are sticking around if I read the schedule correctly. But
Yeah, that organization's running on a high too. Their Paladin team just won that championship, right?
they did.
So yeah,
for
Signed their first Fortnite
Paladins,
player.
for Paladins, yeah,
hey man, they're turning it around.
they're turning around.
So let's get
Yeah.
into the actual nitty gritty though of ESL Dallas. So those are, like I said, that's kind of the background story and how we got here. Some of the drama for the teams that didn't qualify, but where the real drama is starting is for the teams that are there. So the way this is starting is like every year, there's 2 groups. They actually already have your matchups lined up already, which is nice. So in Group A, you have. We'll get into the matchups. I just want to list the teams here. Group A, you have Mouse Sports, Sharks Esports, which is South American. They're a Brazilian team. They qualified through there.
Okay.
FaZe.
That was
Oh, go ahead.
no. I was about to ask you who they were. I
They're
didn't even know.
Brazilian. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, look, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. That's the only. That's the only. Don't ask me who they are. I have no idea. And then man, in round 1, it's kind of a shame. It has to be round 1, but FaZe versus Cloud9.
The middle of that bracket, since it kind of sucks that they couldn't kind of shift things around. But yeah, why that? I
They
mean,
can't
that's
get
like
away
a
from each
finals
other.
match, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that
it's
was
with
the
FaZe
majors
getting the
finals.
3rd seed. With FaZe getting the 3rd seed, it kind of messes everything up, right? Because now, or I guess the way they did the seeding, I should say, is you're going to also have Mouse and FaZe playing in the next round, right? Is what would end up happening, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's saving grace. You got Navi at the bottom of the bracket, so it kind of
Navi looks
sucks.
like they have a nice little route there. Obviously, NRG has been playing great, right? They played a little poor recently, but looks like Navi
I don't think
has
you
an-
can count NRG out against. So
You can't.
NRG is playing
Mm-mm.
Heroic and Navi is playing MVP PK in the first round for Group A. Mouse Sports is playing Sharks. I mean,
Rest in peace.
Yeah, like
if they lose that match.
that's
And
not
now
even
watch.
worth
Now that we
saying
said
anything
it,
about.
it's definitely gonna be a Sharks upset. 100% happening. Like I would
Yeah,
bet it if
right.
you're a listener.
I mean,
Oh
in Group
God,
A,
I
the real
really.
things to look at: FaZe versus Cloud9 and NRG versus Heroic. Because honestly, both of those games could go either way.
Yeah, and second round matchups are going to be good. Like you said, second round matchups in this one will also be good. So this group is going to shape up to have some fun matches going into it because you'll have like a FaZe Mouse second round matchup or Cloud9 potentially Mouse second round matchup, and then I think NRG Navi second round matchup would be a good game as well. So that bracket in general is going to shape up to be a little toughy as they go through it.
I think right now the saving grace for Cloud9, and I think it was Rush that tweeted it out. It might have been automatic. Someone tweeted out basically saying like in their last month they've basically been on a plane with jet lag throughout the entire month, flying from France back home, then to Australia, then back
Australia.
home. It's just been a lot of back and forth, and I don't think there's anything going on between now and ESL Dallas, which is just next week. So hopefully that gives them some time just to chill. I mean, at least in the States, for now.
Hopefully for the Euro teams, they've just come here directly, right?
I think
And are staying here for the week.
who was it? I'm looking at these teams to see.
I think I did see on Twitter there are already teams,
I think it was
EU teams coming to Dallas.
Yeah, I think Optic was saying that they already flew out.
Yeah.
Or at least some
Well,
people from Optic's roster flew out to Dallas already.
Yeah, there was another org, not Optic. I can't off the top of my head think of who it is, but they're on their way to Dallas. Like I've already seen that stuff, so it looks like they're
It'd be smart just to get them acclimated to the time change and not have to give some short notice there. Lower bracket's going to be pretty good in this too, though. I mean, I'm excited for the lower bracket with that first matchup. I mean, geez, you're talking about Liquid and talking about coming in with the hottest team right now,
You're talking about
or
Group
at
B?
least Group B. Like Liquid Greyhound being the first matchup there. That's going to be a fun one because Greyhound, Dick Stacy, man. Like, what more do you need
Greyhound
to say?
being qualifying through Asia Pacific, yeah.
What is the deal with just the way the seating works in both brackets? You got two games out of 4 that are just like, wow, why are these teams playing each other? And same thing here, right? Like Optic and Astralis and NIP and SK, like that.
But it goes by seedings from NA to EU, right? So you have an NA team playing an EU team at the beginning, and so it's just you're naturally going to have that as you become a lower. The problem is like a team like SK, right? SK was the last ranked team. So they're going to play one of the top ranked teams from the EU bracket. In this case, it happens to be.
If I would have asked you in last Dallas, hey, guess what? NIP is going to be playing SK as the top seed team. Like
guess who the top seed is?
Yeah,
there?
like who would you have? Like how much money would you have bet that SK would have been the top seed in that situation?
Tim, I would have said duh. All right. That's what I would have said.
I was just hoping for NIP to qualify. Yeah, I was just hoping they were going to make the damn tournament.
Now, realistically,
I was trying to pull my fandom from his fandom, Tim's fandom.
Like in my eyes, and I get that they have their own tiebreaker system. I think NIP should be the number 1 seed. I'm assuming it's because of head-to-head that Mouse Sports is over NIP. Let me see here. I'm pulling up. It's got to be because of no, not even because they split 1-1. So round differential. That had to have been it then. Mouse Sports took like 4 more rounds on NIP in the league. Because realistically, they finished the season. Mouse Sports and Ninjas finished the season with the same amount of points. Their overtime win-loss was a little different. But NIP had a 68 round differential compared to Mouse Sports' 52. Overall, you could say NIP had the stronger EU side for ESL.
Yeah, there's some tiebreaker in there that we don't know about.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it's the head-to-head. Mouse ended up winning 4 more rounds total.
You almost had a 3-way tie there.
I think it's 4 rounds to NIP that puts, or to Mouse that makes them number 1. I think that's it.
And maybe it's a blessing in disguise, that NIP get to play SK, all right, at this time,
We had some Twitter questions prior to the episode. One of the listeners asked, with SK the way they are going into this tournament, if they do not make playoffs, can we now, is this roster with Stewie a failure?
If they don't...
I asked this question before Sydney, and they didn't win a single game. So I'm going to look to Anuj, the man who is still fighting in SK's corner.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this tournament there needs to be signs of improvement. I mean, again, let me just pull up their route here, right? It's going to be tough, right? They're going to play, obviously, they're going to play Nip in the first round. I hope Astralis beats the hell out of Optic, okay? I'm just annoyed with Optic CSGO roster. I'm just annoyed with them, okay? Cajun and
Anush
Config.
hates Danish players.
It's not Danish players. I don't like Config and Cajun. Like both of those guys come across as total a-holes, and I don't like the way they treated their teammates. I don't like their attitudes. I didn't like their attitudes when I met them. So like those players in particular, not that I have beef with them, I just don't like them, and it's simple as that. And so
I don't have no offense. No offense.
I just don't like you. And so I think Astralis is going to whoop up on him. And I think Astralis would whoop up on SK right now with the form that they're in. So it's going to be tough, but I think SK just needs to play well. Like, beat Nip. That would be a good start, obviously. Like, I think that's a winnable matchup for them. And then into the Astralis matchup, make that a good game. Don't let that be a 16-5 type spanking. If you're going to lose, make it 16-12. I know there's no moral victories in sports, but in their case, when you're playing so poorly, you can at least take something from that. So I don't think this is a, hey, win this tournament or you guys are screwed type thing, but you do need to show improvement here.
I think SK being on this part of the bracket, like they're going to get a pass. Now, let's say that Liquid and SK were flipped and SK doesn't make it to the finals of that bracket, that side of the bracket, then, there's pause for concern. Like, get your pitchforks and torches ready. But being on that part of the bracket, that bottom part of the bracket, I think they're going to get a little bit of I'm willing to give them a little bit of a.
It would have been a good test if they were on the other side, because they lost to Greyhound in the last tournament, right? That was one of the upset matches. So it would be nice for SK to see Greyhound play well. If Greyhound comes out and totally gets smoked in this tournament, and it doesn't help their look, kind of like you see in college sports, for example. It's like, oh man, well they beat that team with this piece, that type of stuff.
But then later in the season,
you get
Alabama loses
on
to
the type
North
of
Texas, and it throws everything off for the.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to see Greyhound do well outside of their home country. I mean, that was huge for them, I think, having that support and all that. But that'll also, I don't necessarily think it helps. It doesn't help SK, obviously, right? But it would be nice to see them do well and not make it like
I'm gonna go a different route than from you guys then, because regardless of where they're at, I'm not giving them a pass. Personal grudge against SK aside, I think people are looking at their results and not looking at the roster. Their roster, Fallen, Fur, Cold, Bolts, Stewie, when that was put together, everyone said they won't lose again. And they've done anything but win since that roster. I think right now, and I'm not saying it's Stewie, right? I'm more so saying it's like the first person to go on that team is going to be Bolts, just by process of elimination, I think.
It's going to be tough to replace him right now is the problem.
But
these teams are like NTC just formed, right?
Well, but I don't think they're going to. This is my theory. I think they're going to drop Bolts because I don't think they're going to play well for ESL. I don't see them playing well. I could see them going another 2, and I could see Nip beating them and give me either one, Optic or Astralis. Whoever wins that could beating SK.
Him also.
Yep. Yeah. I don't see. I agree. The path they have one of the toughest paths, kind of next to Cloud9, because they got to play FaZe and then Mouse if they win, and
it's similar standing there.
Yeah,
right?
similar where they're at. But I think if they drop Bolts, if I were SK, I would look for another English-speaking player. Like
automatic.
Yeah, don't try to. You know what? That's not funny. Okay, just don't go for don't. I think with them adding Stewie shows that they're not completely dug into just Brazilian players, where for the longest time everyone thought they were.
Like I don't want to say I'm giving them a pass either, but there are different things that are taking place here, right? With them now, they have a new in-game leader. Like Cold Zero is going to be the main caller for them, and the point of that is to get Fallen back into form. But I think anytime you have a change in leadership, and we've seen it in North America 1,000 times, that anytime there's some sort of change in leadership, there is that period that now it's going to take a couple matches of just getting used to hearing a different voice nonstop. Fallen has been the voice of that team for, I mean, feels like since I was born. I mean, I don't recall a different leader
Right.
in this
No, yeah, I
lineup,
mean
and
you're pretty much right on that. At
so
least
that
for
that
3 years.
yeah, I mean, since their run, so I mean, since they've been good, Fallen's been the voice for them. I think this will also take a minute. Like I said, it doesn't give them an excuse to play bad, but it is natural to maybe take a step back before you go forward in this type of situation. They're reeling though, it is tough right now, and I think coming out and beating Nip will be a confidence boost, and then again, I think they would beat Optic if they played him head up. I would like to think that they can come through on that without too much of an issue. Astralis, though, that's a whole different story. Astralis is always playing SK well, so SK in this form, I would feel like would be a breeze for him.
And I mean SK, they're not dumb, right? They see social media and they know that, guys, we just signed Stewie 2K and we haven't done anything. So it seems like out of all the teams in Counter-Strike, I feel like SK is a little bit more similar to Virtus Pro in the sense of like brotherhood, right? If that makes sense. Where
it just means a lot in that culture. In that
exactly,
sense, right?
like they are willing to tough it out more than any other team because of just that bond that the majority of that roster has, Fallen, Cold, and Fur, right? I don't think they're going to abandon ship as quickly as other teams, but that being said, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be looking at it as a
I
possibility.
think it makes it interesting with this whole like change, right? They're going to be under the IMT banner here pretty soon. And Bolts and Noah are very close. And Noah said a lot of great things about Bolts before letting him make the move to SK. So if they go back, I wonder how willing he would be to necessarily be like, yeah, let's get rid of the one guy on this team that I have a relationship with ownership with. And so
But I feel like Fallen probably has more of a voice than the owner, right? Like that's an agreement that they probably have going in. It's like
no, ownership is ownership, right? Like doesn't matter what it's in. I mean, SK wants IMT just as much as IMT wants IMT Immortals. For those of you that don't know, this is a mutual move. This benefits SK in life. This benefits Immortals in game and financially. So there's a lot on the line for both of them. If it's if the rumors are true and this has happened.
okay, so they keep the sleepiest man in CS.
God, the dude looks like he is 104.
That's my favorite game when I show people Bolts is guess his age.
I mean, what would you think his age is? Just looking at him,
Oh, I mean,
I would go with death.
Like
I mean,
death.
the he doesn't look healthy. All right, I don't
He
want to
looks like he's like
speculate.
39, 45, somewhere in that range, And
Tim, I think I've sent you a photo of him and Uncle Fester side by side.
He just
Like
doesn't.
if you take off his hair, just the bags under his eyes, doesn't he?
that's what it is, right? I'm not talking
Is-
about the weight. Okay, so for those of you out there listening, we're not talking about his weight. We're talking about the dude looks like he is so tired, like he just wants to take a nap so bad. But they're not letting you. They're playing like loud music nonstop behind you and make you grind out CS. I mean, he just looks exhausted when you watch him. I mean, and then he's always looked like that. So I don't know. Maybe that's just how he looked.
He just turned 21 in April.
Oh my god,
Man.
Like
Oh.
that's the thing. Like you look at him and you're like, man, that is a heavy drinker. And then you're like, he just turned 21. Like, has Fallen been buying him shots or something? Like I don't.
people say time travel isn't real. I call BS right now.
It's like the mysterious case of Bolts. Dude is 21 going on 40.
Poor guy, dude. Just take
But
a nap, Bolts. If you're
no
listening, take a nap.
disrespect.
No, none whatsoever.
No disrespect.
Hate you, config.
So that's really looking at the bottom portion of Group B, with SK, NIP, Optic, Astralis. Those are going to be fun matches to watch. You have Space Soldiers, and again, this is all, I assume, in a hotel somewhere in the Metroplex. Space Soldiers versus Renegades, and you have Liquid and Greyhound. Yeah, those are kind of snoozers. I think
I'm excited for Liquid Greyhound. I really am. Like
to
I
see
would
if
like to
Sydney
see.
was a fluke with Greyhound.
Yeah, and to see. I mean, Liquid is coming in as the #1 seed from the NA side. They've had time with their current lineup
Deservingly
now.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
Is
excited to
it by
see them.
default because no other team really took
Look,
hold
but
of the number
there
one
was
seed?
other teams in that league that should have been able to do it though, right? I mean, it's not like NA was garbage. You had Cloud9 at the time that during this season, Cloud9 won their major. They had Stewie, they had their core five, right? Now, granted, there's some stuff that changed at the end here, but I don't think that's. I think Liquid just played really well. Granted, half of NA is trash, so that eliminates half the playing field. But even SK had their core lineup for a majority of the season. NRG has been killing it in ECS. I mean, completely destroying it. And Optic still has some of the best talent in the world. As much as I will talk trash about Config and Cajun B, these guys are amazing players. So I think it still says something to come out #1 convincingly. I mean, they had 4 more wins than the next closest team. So I think that's, that says something also. The bottom, 4 teams in Group A from like 3 to 6 there. I mean, those guys were all kind of jumbled together with okay records, but Liquid stood out. So I'm excited to see them, like you said, against Greyhound, who just performed well.
We have very
It's just going to be a
little
fun one.
footage with them and Taco.
Very little,
I think
yeah.
DreamHack, Marseille, I think was the only one, and they did poorly there. So I mean, it's we'll see. The NA side of it all kind of intrigues me more, as it always does. A, because I'm a homer and I bleed freedom, and B, it's because, like you said, Anuj, they're all for the most part kind of trashy teams. Like they all have glimpse of greatness, but then they also have glimpse of just being like, what are you doing? I
And
mean, Cloud9 is famous for not making it out of groups.
yeah, I mean, they had the run, which makes us all believe even harder now, right? Like they did what they did, so we're gonna believe. It's like U.S. soccer at the same time, though, right? We
Yeah.
make a
Oh
good
yeah. I
run,
mean,
and then
Cloud9 gets a little bit of a
Too
leeway. They get a
soon.
little bit of leash for winning that major, but don't think I've forgotten all the times that they failed to make it out of group stages and tournaments that they, damn well should have made it out of groups.
And just a little bit of tidbit of info here. ECS, like those games were happening today with SK playing Luminosity in back-to-back games, and SK got 2-0'd against them, unfortunately.
And I think Cloud9 was losing to Rogue. I don't know what the final scores were, but
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I don't know.
but
What the final is
see,
either.
so I'm gonna take all those with a grain of salt too, Anuj, because we see that all the time before tournaments. You see these league games, and we didn't even bring this up at the beginning. These league games before like actual real tournaments or playoffs, right, are always used as the experiment matches. You don't want to pull out your big plays during them. You don't want to pull out the new triple stack on a map or anything like that. You save all that for the weekend. You save that for Championship Sunday. So, although both teams have been struggling, we do see it a lot where prior to a tournament, teams just
Yeah, I mean,
lose
right
when they
now,
should
Liquid
win.
and SK are not even in the qualifiers for ECS. I mean, both of them. It just kind of shows how the disparity is in NA. Is Optic, Renegades, SK, and Liquid are all currently not qualified for ECS. I mean, they're quite a few points behind in some cases. So you could have a totally different group of people representing themselves for the NA side on ECS.
So we'll see with what happens there. As far as with ESL, though, I don't want to go all the way through predictions, but give me who you have in the finals.
Does it stay
Canoe.
brackets the same way all the way across? Do we know? Is that
Yeah.
what we're going under the assumption of?
So like if on Wikipedia, so playoffs, the quarterfinals, you have Group B second place versus Group A third, Group A second versus Group B third, and then you have in semis Group A and Group B. So at semis, it can kind of get mixed up, right? Depending on who wins in the quarters. So in reality, just say who you think. It could be any team.
Yeah. So I will go. I'm going to go FaZe over Liquid in the finals. I think Liquid
Phase
is
over
going to come out.
Liquid.
Yeah, phase over Liquid. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see Liquid on the big stage with this lineup. Liquid finds a way to show up big in like big time tournaments, and they have an opportunity. I feel like they've been out of mind, out of sight here for a little bit. So I think they're going to be super amped up. A lot of these teams that are complaining about jet lag and all these other issues, man, Liquid better be fresh. These guys are coming in from Cali and they haven't been doing anything but playing and grinding out CS. So I think it'll be a cool showing. I hope we get to see a Liquid SK matchup in there. I would love to see Taco go up against his former team and all that. That would be awesome.
There's a good chance. I mean, with the upper bracket, lower brackets, and all that, it could happen.
Yeah, like definitely could happen. So I'm gonna go, Liquid over FaZe. I'm sorry, FaZe over Liquid in the finals.
Brett?
And give me Mouse because I'm just a big fan of CS going into tournaments.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because
buy a Mouse
I
shirt
love continuity.
this time, by the way.
Last year, those are some clean
I
jerseys.
regret not getting a Mouse shirt. Last
yeah.
year.
Their little bomber jackets are really cool looking too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Letterman jackets. Oh wait, were they like the Letterman style?
Yeah, Letterman style jackets. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. But I'm just a fan of the continuity. They've been playing with each other for a while, so I like that side. And on the other side, give me Nip. Again, continuity. They haven't been playing terrible, and SK hasn't been playing great. Astralis, Device has been sick, and they haven't really kind of looked like themselves. And the top of that bracket really doesn't scare me from a Nip standpoint. So Nip and Mouse is where I'm going with Mouse probably winning that.
Okay, I mean, I like them. They're wrong, but I like them. I think Astralis, the only way that they haven't.
Know where you're going to.
The only reason Astralis hasn't been playing like themselves is because they're playing like they're number one in the world, which I don't think is very much like Astralis. So I could agree with you that eventually Astralis is going to have to fall off this roller coaster, right? That might be Dallas, but it also might not be. Give me Astralis in the finals, and I've been going back and forth on who they could be playing. I like Mouse. I think agree, Brett, that out of all the teams here, it seems like they might have their head on straight. Detroit Renegades, obviously, always a contender in these big tournaments. I mean, Renegades seem to always be right there with all these. But after crunching the numbers,
and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up.
You have to do a "Oh Canada" for FNS.
This dude burps bald eagles and farts the national anthem. Swear to God.
This guy loves apple pie and freedom.
Give me Cloud9 versus Astralis in the final, with Cloud9 possibly having the easiest tournament they've ever played. Like, this will make the major look like a qualifier with how it just breezed past. So give me Cloud9 versus Astralis in the finals, with Cloud9 winning. Maybe not even losing a round.
3-0, right?
3-0, 16-0. It's just going to be insane. Those are who I have in the finals, though. I am a professional broadcaster out of the three of us, so don't want to say my word means more, but, we'll see. We will see. They did, I think, just recently announced the broadcasting talent. That might have been today, actually. Speaking of...
I got an email for Austin.
Oh, is that
today.
The email?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll have to look at that then. Speaking of Golden Boy, though, he is going to be there. He will be the stage host. I believe he was there last year as well. So you might get more. You might get more of this.
Cloud9!
So maybe we'll get a Golden Boy voice
Oh no,
crack.
it was for Dallas. It was for Dallas.
Okay.
So you can look off that list.
All right, good. So Golden Boy will be the stage host. Desk host will be Machine Perfection. Backstage will be Stunna. Bit awkward. He's awkward.
Yeah.
His interview style to me is a little awkward. An analyst.
He's always looking for somebody to punch.
No disrespect to Stunna. None whatsoever.
One of the
Analysts,
nicest guys we've met. Really, really
He
nice.
is very
you know,
nice.
he
yeah.
is super nice because even though I think he was 100% pretending to care, he did seem like he cared about us. Even though I think when he realized who we were, he was like, "Oh, you can't do anything for me. Never mind. Bye."
You know who I'm excited to meet?
Sponge?
No, Harry.
Just Harry?
Yeah, just Harry. I
Really?
like the dude. I
Really?
really like it. I enjoy his casting style. I follow him on Twitter. I think he's like, a good Twitter follow also. But yeah, I'm excited to meet Harry, and I'm excited to see that he keeps getting an opportunity. Obviously, with this
Well,
whole,
it helps
Sadakist
when
stuff.
you have
Are you talking-
But I think this is a
coworkers.
good way for people to see new talent, right? It's unfortunate that this is how it's had to happen. But as we know, we call this group the boy band, right? And it's really hard, to get in there and have a new face. And so
all it takes
I
is an
think that'll
N-word
be
in
cool.
Itch. All it
Just
takes,
drop one.
all it takes is one N-word, and then we're in. Where we just need about 100 more N-words said, and my God, we'll be hosting the next tournament. Analysts, you have Sponge, Yanko, and Pimp. Commentators, Henry G with Moses, and as the news just said, you have Just Harry with Elfish Guy or Jordan Mays. Remote commentators to be announced. I don't know what that means.
I'm surprised Pimp is going. I believe his father's funeral was today, so which is terrible that he's having to deal with that, obviously.
Stay hard,
but
Papa Pimp.
yeah. So that really sucks, obviously. But not to you, to your father. Sorry.
Stay hard,
I'm
Pimp's
very
dad.
sorry.
Where were we? Commentators, we got that going. Show match, if you care at all. I never do, but at least this year it's a little bit mixed up. So it's actually Texas A&M's Counter-Strike team, which is kind of cool. I always think there must have been some type of tournament going on to have them qualified. And
Be a bunch
then
of people from the military or the Corps.
is that true?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I was like, is it?
That's just A&M.
And then you have them going up against an unknown team. Think outside the box. They played in a local tournament here in Dallas at Java Gaming Cafe. So at least that's a little different. I still wish they would go with my idea for a show match, which is where they get that too, or play a 1.6 game.
1.6 game would be cool.
I think that would be.
But the problem is
really cool.
that it would be like, shit, we want 1.6 back.
And be like, man, this is way better than CSGO.
We like this game better, so.
But I do think watching a 1.6 game would at least be, it's in Dallas, where some people call it the birthplace of competitive gaming and CS. So I think it would have been a cool callback, but they
this
blew
is
it.
like neat, but I don't really care.
It's still going to be when I'm there, I'm just going to be looking at my watch.
It's the Pro Bowl.
This is not as good as the Pro Bowl though, because it's not pros.
Right,
right? Like at least
this
there
is
are
even
pros
worse.
involved in this. Like this is like
Yeah.
our. It's gonna be awesome.
I'll tell you what. If you
awesome
want a
for those
show
guys.
match, give me like a blind team versus actually two blind teams, or like blind person playing with a deaf person guiding them. That would get me. Now that is a show match.
Or like a pro match where they take two teams and like no crosshairs.
Oh,
just to like see what happens here. How instinctual are these guys and this and that? I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do to make a pro.
listen, unless the issue is with these show matches, they always show up on Sunday, right? Where the only thing you care about is like the finals on a Sunday. So it's
really like, please get this over with so we
yes,
can get on to the
I just want to watch
show.
the finals.
Yeah,
Now, speaking of, a listener also asked, I'm going to pretend like it wasn't the same listener who asked two questions to make it seem like we have tons of listeners. So we had another listener question. It's their first time going to an event. They hopefully can make it to ESL Dallas, blah, blah, blah. Best days to go and advice. Now, I responded to him on Twitter already, but I basically said, you can't really go wrong on any day. Championship Sunday is obviously going to be good because you're going to see the finals, right? Which is always cool. But realistically, if you're on there any day, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, watching an NA team play on NA soil is pretty damn cool.
Then you should go on Friday or Saturday.
Well,
Oh.
you could go on Sunday and watch Cloud9.
or Liquid, right?
And the
We both have
Fire. That's
an
true.
NA team pick.
That's true.
But I mean, if you really want to guarantee yourself that, go Saturday, see a lot of different teams play. You'll get to see a lot of the best players in the world. Obviously, all the best players in the world are not going to be playing on Sunday. So, I mean, Saturday, I think, is just a great day to see a lot of awesome Counter-Strike if you were just a fan of several teams. But yeah, I think from an experience standpoint, Sunday, just seeing the finals is neat. It'll be even better if it happens to be an NA team.
Agreed. I did say outside of just spectating, last year they allowed re-entry. Okay, so these events are long. They are all day from you want to be there. I mean, think doors open 10. So if you want a good seat, get there when it opens, and you are there till about 6 o'clock at night. They are long days. The food's going to be expensive. Last year they had food trucks, which were great. I mean, they were good, but I mean, they'll destroy your bank account if that's all you eat all day.
But when you're hungry.
Yeah, when you're hungry, that little quarter-size hamburger looks
If you don't have,
mighty
if you have a
delicious.
car or something, there's some stuff around there.
Yeah, I mean,
sauerkraut,
and there's not a whole
McDonald's,
lot
stuff like
if you
that.
haven't been to Grand Prairie.
You're forgetting about Whataburger right down the street. What's wrong with you, Anush?
That is true. That
Is
is
it right
true.
down the
if you're from
street?
the area.
I did say
I
too,
think
I
it
wouldn't
is.
even judge if you brought your lunch and left it in your car. That might not be a terrible idea either. If you're bro, I just spent this money for the ticket. I don't have $30 to spend on a hot dog. Maybe not a bad idea. But it is long, so just wear comfortable clothes. You're not trying to impress anyone because you will get your e-sluts, as I like to call them, the groupies. They will definitely be walking around, but they're not looking at you. So just wear whatever you want, be comfortable because the days are long. I'm not gonna lie. By the end of it, you're do I even care about this match going on right now? Because it's a long day. That's all I got. All I got for ESL Pro League Dallas. Any final thoughts before we move into Call of Duty?
I've given you everything I've got, man.
Yeah, man.
That was a good discussion.
Excited.
Good
Yeah.
ESL Dallas preview. Again, we will be there. So if you're going, shoot us a message on Twitter or whatnot. We would love to meet you. We will be there pretty much every day. Maybe not Friday. I think me and Anuj got called in by the wives, and we're going on a double date. So.
And Friday's event,
Alright.
I just looked at the times. It's morning till 4 o'clock.
Oh, well then good. I'll be at work anyways.
So yeah, I'll be at work too, and I'm not gonna miss a day for Friday. So
we will
I
be
don't
there
think we'll be
Saturday,
attending
Sunday.
Friday at all. Yeah.
So that will work out there. I mean,
Possibly be on Friday.
we will we'll miss
What else, Mark?
Shark Esports. What will we do? Actually, I'm not. They're not making the playoffs. Who am I kidding? All right. So we'll be out there. Moral of the story is come say hi. Let's get into some Call of Duty, though, because like I said at the beginning of the show, there were a lot of roster moves. So it seemed like this whole time this has been building up, right? I feel like this is 3 weeks now where we've brought up these rumors and oh, this might be happening. And oh, look, Optic Gaming tweeted this and this rumor's flying around. And it seems like the bubble has finally popped. We go live now to our Call of Duty correspondents, Anuj.
Hey, Tim, Bray, can y'all hear me? I'm live on scene.
Anuj, we
you're
can
live,
hear
man.
you.
Great, guys. So it looks like we finally have the report in on Optic Gaming here. They all hate each other. Every single one of them absolutely hates each other. And so, I mean, it's crazy because all this stuff came out on Karma's stream. And Karma's an awesome dude. I mean, I've watched his stream for a long time. And he seems so genuine and he's so real. So he's also an older gamer. I think that's why I like him too. That always helps with me. But he dished out a lot of info on his stream. And it turns out the key thing was Scump and Formal really hated each other. They weren't talking even outside of the game at this point, is what he said. So there was just a lot of beef between them. He didn't say exactly what the issue was.
I wonder if that all stems from losing. Do you think they just they played together when they were winning, but they still didn't,
But this is what the third. They've been together for 3 full years. They didn't win champs for the first time until last year. So it's not like these guys were an undefeated team. Think SK, who had a dominating run in that sense for so long. they were really good, but they weren't winning champs every
Right,
year, you
right.
know? So, um, I don't know. You and me talked about this a little earlier. I feel like the change had to be made, obviously, if there's that kind of dismay in the team, I guess you could say. But it's unfortunate because it seems like the season's like kind of coming to an end. I know that obviously champs and there's I believe two CWL events
We're on the other
remaining.
side of the hill, though.
Yeah, I mean, and then now everybody knows like the next one's Black Ops 4, Black Ops 4, so it's probably going to go more modern, maybe back to what Formal was a beast at. But yeah, change was finally made. Formal leaves the team. Formal moves over to LG and essentially a swap for Octane, who Octane has proven to be the best AR player right now. I mean, the dude is amazing at the moment. He is actually a beast. I think everybody in the scene agrees with that. So this is a good move for Optic, I think short and long run. If Octane performs like this, obviously going into the next game, that would be great. But yeah, Octane is coming over to join them, as well as Methods, who is coming from, I guess we want to say Rise Nation right now, but that's a whole different story. Um, Rise Nation had to essentially, or what we've been told, was his rights were sold to TK, and TK is saying we had his rights, but they went behind our back, took our money, and then sold him to Optic also. But Methods is coming over to Optic as well.
And it's weird too, because it's like I know the TK owner. What's his name?
Cost Def is what we'll
Cost
call him.
Def. All right. Like I watched some of his video before the show and stuff, and man, I want to believe him because he just seems like such a stand-up guy, right? I mean, he just
Yeah,
does
I
all the
mean,
right
like,
decision. It's really hard
and
to
full of integrity.
it's
Yeah,
really hard to
yeah.
not just root for him. So hopefully everything works out great for that organization.
But
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at it just from the player, like if you're looking from the player standpoint, it's like, man, I'm going to TK, but I can prop. Like, what are you wanting? You're wanting to go to Optic, of
well,
course.
the
So
dude
it's just
just
like,
finished banging another COD Pro's girlfriend like 10 minutes before he made that video.
and you
So I
probably don't
don't
want to play for
know.
that
I don't know. Well, no. So
guy.
they were gonna let Methods go to Optic either way. Everybody understands Optic is the god of COD, right? Like if you get a chance to go play for Optic, you take it. And he mentions that in his video. He's like, we were letting him go to Optic, but it had to
It's
be
more about
through
the money than the
TK.
player at this
Yeah, like
point.
they gave them money. He's saying they gave them money for the player. Rise was supposed to give Method over to him at that point, like slave trading here. And instead they sold him over to Optic and double dipped and took money on both ends. And they said there was already like a contract was already signed. So Justin Kostef is, saying he is going to put this into legal hands, and we'll see where it goes from there. But at the moment, you have the new lineup on Optic, which would be Scump, um, playing along with Method, Crims, and now what's his face, Octane. So these guys got a really, really good lineup, and it's going to be fun to see how they finish the rest of the season out. The person you feel bad for in this whole thing is Karma, who is essentially a free agent. He said he's going to sit out.
And he's been jerked around, I feel like, for the last month.
And the thing is, he was like their best performer at the last big event. So
Doesn't he have like the most? Maybe I'm not thinking of the right person, but isn't this guy with the most championships?
Yeah.
Like,
Karma's got a handful of them. I don't know if he has the
He-
most of all
He's
time,
got
but
3.
he's
I know that.
yeah. I don't.
I don't
See,
know
I don't
if there's
think
the
that's the
most.
most of all time. I think there's like a 5-time winner, isn't there? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But Karma's been around for a long time. Karma's been consistently playing and been in champs for like the last 5+ years. So it's sad to see him now sitting it out. He's still under the Optic name. He said on his stream if they asked him to come back for Black Ops 4, he would, because people don't think that Methods is going to be a long-term like solution. They just needed to make a change right now. So we'll see. I mean, these guys get tossed around so much, which is crazy considering the COD community doesn't seem that big from a professional standpoint. But yeah, that's big because these guys have been together for 3 years, and now you got a new lineup here. They got firepower back in return, so let's see what happened. I really want to know what happened between Formal and like Scump. That has to be pretty rough for you to be on non-talking terms after 3 years of, I guess you could say they were boys, right? I mean, they were together for 3 years. They must have liked each other for 3 years, and now here you are.
It's what losing can do to you, man.
Yeah, Tim, why don't
Ask
you
me
use
how
your,
much I like
your
you after we play Counter-Strike.
yeah. You use your in. You don't you know if you use CS pros, Tim? Don't you have a few following you on Twitter?
Call of Duty. Me and Clayster are. Look, I mean, we're best friends. Okay.
Tim made the play of
So
his life
you
in
sure?
Battalion 44.
he does follow me on Twitter. It's, you know, I don't like to brag about it, but you know, me and Clay, we're tight. We're pretty tight. You know,
Yeah.
I
Tim
use
can
that-
slide into his
It's like
DMs now.
slide into, yeah.
I can. It is true. It is true. So we'll see how with all those roster moves. I know Stage 2 starts here next week, May 15th, and then Anaheim is a month later, June 15th. So that's the next big event for the World League. So, you know, it gives these teams about a month, which for how much you have to play in Call of Duty, I would say is plenty of time to get acclimated into the new roster. So we'll see. We'll see how all that plays out. I'm just glad to see that something finally happens. Let's get into some e-news, though, shall we? A lot of going on in Counter-Strike, even though we just talked an hour about ESL Pro League. Still tons to go. I can't see it because the news is highlighting it in our chat. You have ESL try to shut down Mythic's stream because of poor viewership numbers on Facebook. Now this, I think, Anuj, you added this, right?
Yeah, and this could be, I feel
I
like,
was
its
going
own
to say,
topic.
this might be its own topic in a future episode, but we'll just touch on the surface. So Mythic is obviously a Counter-Strike team. Summit used to be on it, and their whole thing is that they stream their matches. That's pretty much their deal, right?
And they're playing an MDL, so this is like a top-tier match. Okay?
Yeah.
This isn't like a joke of a game.
And so ESL basically said, hey, you can't stream our matches anymore. And it basically snowballed into the fact because literally their Facebook stream had 0 viewers. No one was watching the actual stream on Facebook.
What did they say at the time that it was happening? There was like 30 viewers or something, and then it hit 0 at one point.
Yeah. So, you know.
Someone needs to look internally.
Yeah, like I don't think you could be pointing the fingers at anyone here. But
Hey, they all said it
because
was
if-
going to be awesome, didn't they?
yeah, we
Yeah,
were
if
all
that-
the dumb fans.
If
Dan
that S
Logic.
was on Twitch, like no one would be watching the streamers, streams. They would be watching the official stream. But you made your bed, ESL.
Yup.
Let's
So,
get back into
I think,
this
yeah,
one, though.
I think
We're
that
not-
will
this
be its
is a-
own
this is gonna be a
discussion
fun
here.
game.
SK purchases NTC. Again, this is kind of all stemming from the current SK roster getting bought out by the Immortals organization. So now SK is kind of making their backup plan with NTC, but that creates issues because of multiple teams, pretty much.
Yeah, they're both trying to qualify for ESL Belo Horizon, so that could be a conflict of interest right there. It's interesting to see how this gets handled and how quickly it gets handled, because technically Stewie is not signed by SK. I believe Stewie is signed by Immortals.
Yeah.
That's who has his contract.
Yeah, you are
so
correct. You are correct.
I think this happens a lot sooner than later now, just to avoid any issues. It's real quick on the streaming thing that we just brought up. Didn't the same thing kind of happen with Dota, and then like Dota stepped in and said,
It's a tad different. There are similarities in both of them, but it's a little different. Where they were saying Dota couldn't do it because of like what they were streaming. It wasn't like the raw matches, I guess. They're similar, but they're different. So we can get more into that when we want to talk about it, because I'll have to do a little bit more research. But I think it's because when they were streaming the Dota matches, some of them were actually streaming like with the commentator audio. And that's what ESL was saying. You can't do that. Like, that's us. You can't do that. Where some of them weren't, and it just created issues. So, again, though, it all stems, right, where ESL isn't happy with their viewership on Facebook. Shocked. Go figure. So we'll talk about that in a later episode. In Overwatch, you had Stage 3 wrap up. NYXL ended up sweeping Boston 3-0. It's their second stage victory. Kind of surprised. I mean, we could talk about it more when we kind of preview there, but
Yeah, Boston had a good run. I mean, they went undefeated in stage 3.
I can't believe they did as
you know,
well as they did,
NYXL.
dropping Dream.
Yeah,
Like,
and those matches were closer than what you see a 3-0 score. But you know, good for Boston coming back from Dream. You know, the Dream Casper, you know, drama to make it there, and just shows how awesome, you
who
know,
would have thought they would have
NYXL is.
improved after that?
True, right? Like, you know, it just, the light is shining on Striker right now. That guy's awesome. If you don't know him, you know, follow him, watch a stream. He's one of the best tracers in the world. Fun guy to watch.
Also, Overwatch League announced that their grand finals will be held in New York at the Barclays Center. Kind of surprised. The whole season is played over in LA, and now they're going to do the grand finals in New York. I wonder if this has anything to do with that, the fact that New York XL is like the top team.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's a travel destination too, right? So if you're gonna get like
LA's
people
not
that
a
want
travel
to go and travel,
destination?
no, it is. No, I'm not arguing with you.
I think
No, that's
mixing
not
it
the
up is
point I'm
just a
arguing,
good
but
thing, though, in general. Like, I think it's just having a good spot.
They've had events at, I mean, esports events at Barclays already,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, it
ESL 1
works.
does it there every year.
Yeah, and I would argue that New York is more of a travel destination, but I'm not disagreeing with you, Tim. Like, LA is a fun spot, but you know, maybe they
I just think it's
want
good
more,
to just mix
more
it
hype.
up, just so you're just like, hey, we got a different location. It makes it seem like a bigger event instead of saying, hey, it's at the same spot we've been doing every event.
I think
So
the
just-
cool
More-
thing is
more to
the
your-
fact that this, like, I guess I just always assumed it was going to be in LA. I never knew that this was still up in the air. So I guess this is cool. Maybe next year it's in a different location. Like, it's the Super Bowl, right? You switch what city it's going to be in, which will be cool.
I hope that the production value is just as good. You know, like the backdrop and all that. Like, I really like that LA setup that they have.
Right.
I'm hoping that it translates to the New York
You
setup.
know
I
it's
think it
going to be
will,
good,
because
dude.
if
There's
you-
so much
I
there.
mean, look at the stages for BlizzCon, and those aren't in permanent homes. You know, the BlizzCon is set up on stage. I will say this, though, and I just thought of this. If they are going to switch up the venue every year, this cannot be decided in the middle or going into the final stage when you give it to the team in first place. Like, that seems a bit convenient. Like,
If Valve can determine a major 10 minutes before the major goes off, and Blizzard can do it.
I'm just saying when it comes to home field advantage, like when that starts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're giving it to, like, imagine with the Super Bowl, you're like, oh man, New England's first place, that's in New England. Like, oh, geez, we just randomly
I
picked
think
that
this
one.
is just coincidental. I
Yeah,
really do. I
definitely.
think this just happens to be they're in one of the largest markets out of the group of teams they have, right? I don't think all of a sudden next year it's like we're going to Shanghai, boys.
Shanghai,
Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't be upset. Give Shanghai something. You do have
Get a
here
win.
in Dota, so Valve officially released the Battle Pass for TI-18, the international coming up later in the year. Within 24 hours, less than 24 hours of this thing being released to the public, the prize pool for it has already surpassed $5 million.
Wow.
Makes me so mad.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Why can't they do this for Counter-Strike?
Because they hate Counter-Strike and Noosh.
5 million in 24 hours.
I'm
Yeah.
pulling up the information right now. So right now, total prize pool, and keep in mind, this started, I mean, we are just past day one, okay? That's how long this has been going on.
Mhm.
5.8 million.
You guys played the wrong Valve game.
Bro, this is
Seriously.
with the base prize pool was 1.6 million. That's what Valve is putting up for it. Just from contributions and people buying things, 4.2 million.
Wow.
For a game that's like losing viewership.
Supposedly. But bro, this is the TI. You can't look at
This
the,
will make its money, yeah, because people will be excited to buy this pass, right, and have all this like fun goodies and all that come along with it. So I think money-wise, they'll still generate a ton. It's just bothers me that they can't do this for a game that's
this is
huge
insane.
in popularity. I mean, it's like
insane.
just crazy.
And in other news, Riot Games won a Sports Emmy for 2017's World Championship broadcast. Kind of thought that was kind of neat. And in Super Smash Bros., Smash Summit 6 was just last weekend, and man, it was an awesome tournament, as it always is. Mewtwo King, though, actually ended up beating Armada in the finals. Surprisingly enough, Mewtwo King, one of the 5 gods for Smash, this was his first major event victory ever. He's never won a major event.
It's crazy because we hear him so much.
Did he cry?
No. So when he won, you can watch it though. Everyone's saying it's like, oh, he's so humbling. It's a very big sportsmanship. I might have swung at him. So after the match, Armada went to go like give him a fist bump, and like Mewtwo King kind of looked confused, and he's like, oh, I won? I won? And then he looked shocked about it. Like he had no idea that the match was over. Now, either he was so into it, he wasn't even keeping up with the score, he was just playing and winning, or he was milking it. I find it hard to believe that you can be in the finals and not know you were in the finals. Like, he was literally just kind of showing up where they told him to show up. I don't know. I don't buy it. But Zane Zane ended up getting 3rd. Hungrybox got 4th. Mango did not perform well. He got 7th and 8th. Zane, though, is another storyline. So for these events, you get invited. Okay, so certain players can be invited to these events and everything there. Zane was one of them. Okay, and this was the furthest that a crowd-funded player has ever got for one of these tournaments. So he got 3rd place. He ended up defeating some big people here. Let me look at what his bracket looked like. I know he ended up beating Mango. He ended up beating Armada, I think, once in the tournament. These brackets aren't full on this website, but he did really well. Obviously, he got 3rd place. So Anuj, you'll be happy about that because he is Indian.
There we go.
Mexican.
Yeah. All right. What?
Middle
It's,
Eastern.
Tim, Tim's
He's
going around the world.
Yeah, right now.
He's got someone on the far left, middle, and to the far east.
He looks like a Nuge. I don't want to, I don't see race. He just looks like a Nuge.
He's
So
My new favorite player.
I don't know if that means he is like a Nuge, but he looks like him. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
So Smash Summit 6 was an awesome tournament, and can't wait for last year or next year. So that is the show. Appreciate everyone for listening. It was an extra long episode, but that's because we had to touch on everything for ESL Pro League. No stones left unturned. If you listened all the way, thank you. I love you. If you skipped around, all the same, I love you too. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. If you plan on going to ESL Pro League at all next week, let us know. We would love to say hello and meet you out there. What else? Hit us up on Twitter at The Center Ring, our website, tcr.gg. Join our Discord. We're always out there. If you're going to the Dallas Fuel meet and greet tomorrow, again, let us know. I think I'll be out there. I'm the only one committed to this show.
right. Our fearless leader.
But other than that, I thank you all again for listening. For Anuj, for Brett, I'm Tim. We'll see you next time.